What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dad's Expensive Hobby.
What's up?
Today we are taking a look at the Marvel Legends Invisible Woman from the upcoming Marvel Studios The Fantastic Four First Steps movie. I'm kind of excited to take a look at this wave. I've ordered them all, but Sue Storm just happened to get here first. Let's look at her box really quick. Some interesting color scheme to go along with their uniforms that are in the movies. Nice big window on the front showing off Sue Storm and all the stuff that you get with her. On the side, it is an image of the actress from the movie, and that kind of irritates me. And again, the same thing on the back. Marvel is getting kind of predictable, but in this case, I kind of understand it because it's from a movie, this figure is, so I'm not going to ride their case too bad about it. But anyways, let's get her out of this package and take a closer look at her. All right, got her out of the box. She don't come with much, and she looks all right straight out of the box, but as we have seen in the past, looks can be deceiving. Let's see how tall she is real quick. To the top of her head, the top of her hair anyway, she's just south of 6 inches, but down to her hairline, it's more like 5 3/4. In centimeters, the entire figure is roughly 15 centimeters. I think she might be about the same height that Marrow was the other day. Anyways, let's look at her aesthetic real quick. Her proportions aren't bad. Like, her arms are a good length. Forearms feel a bit long for a female character. Women tend to have a little bit shorter forearms than men. Her head doesn't sit super duper high up off her body, but the head does feel a little bit big for the body, you know what I mean, for the figure, but that could just be because she's got a lot of hair. Her boobies, that's the only time we'll talk about. They're pretty big and pretty prominent, so I guess they did a good job there. The hips look pretty good, nice and womanly. I wouldn't expect a lot of muscle on this figure because she's not like some physical type superhero. She just has whatever those little psychokinetic type powers that she has. A little bit of taper in the legs. Not much taper in the calves, but she does have some. Her feet look small. I noticed that in images of all the figures from this wave. The feet look a little bit small, but we'll get further into that here in a little bit. The figure does have a nice matte kind of finish to it, especially the head sculpt and like the body. It's nice and matte. The wrist gloves or whatever are kind of glossy looking, and there's paint on the inside of the glove hands, and it's glossy. I'm not really sure what that was about. But overall, that particular aspect of the aesthetic isn't too bad. And of course, the suit has details in it right there, through there on the butt and on the legs and chest and stuff. I wish there was some wash or some dry brush or something kind of help bring it to life a little bit. Now, I noticed some things right here. See this on this glove? I can't tell if that is supposed to be some sort of battle damage sort of markings.
Oh my God.
Because there's some smudgy type stuff over here on this glove too. I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that was meant to be there, but I don't think it is. That looks like that's just paint fuck ups. And the reason why I say that is because there's other paint screw ups. There's paint screw ups right through there. See that bleeding over in the white onto the blue part of the uniform? That kind of sucks. The Fantastic Four symbol looks pretty decent. All right, now, see these two little black marks? Mark in your mind, they are right in the center of the arm. We go over here to this arm, and they're more towards the back. So Hasbro screwed that up pretty good. Down here on the boot, there's a smudge on this boot as well as on the forearm. I'm thinking that's just smudge and paint screw-ups. But let's talk about some things that they did do well. This head sculpt looks pretty darn good. I mean, this isn't spot on, what was her name? Vanessa Kirby, the actress. This isn't spot on Vanessa Kirby, but it looks pretty darn good. Hasbro has been hitting their head sculpts pretty well. The hair, though, sculpted well. I don't think there's any kind of wash, and there's definitely no dry brush in it that I can see. And that kind of sucks. So I'm a little disappointed with that. So overall, the paint, not so hot. Plenty of screw up there. Smudges on both gloves and one of the boots. And then nothing all over the figure. And this is all new sculpt. So the sculpt itself isn't too shitty. You know what I mean? It's not too bad. But they did not do it any justice with the paint that's on it. Like glossy paint on the inside of like the hands. I don't know. Overall, like the shape of the figure, not bad, but the paint really, really sucks. Let's take a look at her accessories really quick. This one, obviously, she only comes with one head sculpt, and the head sculpt does look good, but you know, the hair could use a little bit of extra finesse or whatever. I can't get her to stand up, and I ain't even gonna fool with it. She comes with 4 hands, got this kind of open hand here, just kind of, it's neutral, not really doesn't really do anything. And then this extended wide open hand here with the peg in it for another accessory that we'll take a look at here in just a second. She comes with this gripping hand for something that she doesn't grip, and I'm not even going to make any jokes about what it looks like she could be gripping right there. But it does have a vertical hinge, so that's a good thing, even though we don't really need a gripping hand for her. And lastly, she has a fist hand, and it's a fist hand, and that's just fine, I guess. But she does have this little, you know, force field kind of a deal right here that she does. And if it had some paint on it, would look really, really good. But it is just a cloudy, clear, you know, translucent piece of plastic. But it does have like some maybe bullet indentations or whatever, and some like swirly texture to it. So if it had paint on it, it would look really, really good. But it looks pretty cheap as is, not gonna lie. But it just plugs right into her hand like that, and it functions just fine. It just looks like cloudy, clear plastic when I wish they could have put some paint or something on it to just kind of make it pop a little bit. So they were kind of lazy there. Granted, this isn't an expensive figure, but you get my drift. They need to give us a little bit more than what they give us. Anyways, that is literally all the accessories that she comes with. But, you know, a $25 release, what can you expect? Let's stand her next to some other figures really quick. Speaking of Marrow, here she is next to Marrow, and they're about the exact same height, so I kind of figured that. Ooh, and let's compare their feet really quick, because like I said, it looked like Sue Storm's feet were kind of small, and you see that right there, heel to heel. Her foot is just slightly smaller than Marrow's, so I was kind of correct in saying that her feet looked small. I just thought that was kind of odd. And let's stand her next to a few other figures real quick. Here she is next to the Nemesis Build-A-Figure Wave Cyclops, and that looks pretty good. Let's stand her next to the Storm Arena Ken figure, and they're about the same height for whatever reason, but Ken is supposed to be 5'9" in a 1/12 scale, so I guess maybe that kind of works out. But either way, if you didn't check out my video on him, check out my video on him. I just did one yesterday, day before yesterday. And let's stand her next to the SH Figuarts UI sign Goku, and I think that looks pretty good. She's taller than Goku, but they're actually supposed to be about the same height. He's about 5'9". And let's stand her next to the Marvel Legends Nemesis Build-A-Figure Wave Wolverine, and she is taller than him, and she should be, so that works pretty well. Anyway, let's move into her articulation, and we'll start with her head. Now, this hair sculpt is not soft. It is thick, and it does not move. So her head, and neither does this part either. So her head really doesn't give you much. You can get some rotation out of it, but you are not getting any real look down. You get a little bit there, but where the hair's so stiff, her hair kind of does that, and I don't think that looks good. And you are getting no look up whatsoever, and no nuance, just some wiggle on it. And that's because she's on that damn ball peg disc hinge deal.
Fuck.
So, I mean, even if it was on a double ball peg with that stiff hair sculpt, you're not going to get too much out of it. But you could have at least gotten a little bit of nuance, you know what I mean? You don't really get anything out of it. So that kind of sucks. Neck joint sucks. Shoulders up above 90 degrees, you know, past 90, so that's not too bad. Full rotation there. No butterfly joint, and I'm glad they didn't do that. Bicep swivel, that bicep swivels. Double jointed elbow, tons of range. Doesn't look too bad, but then again, that's just because it's such a small arm and a small joint. That's the only reason why it doesn't look too bad. And the wrist is on a hinge. Now, she has a diaphragm break right here. So this is neutral. Going forward, you get just a little bit. The bottom of her boobies kind of catch going forward, and you don't really get much. Back to neutral there, and there's leaning back. That's pretty good, and no gapping. So I like that a lot. Obviously I think there's a double ball peg in there. and you get plenty of tilt and lean, you get twist and all that, so that's going to be pretty good. Now here's something about the articulation I actually liked. She has a waist swivel that is for the most part hidden by this belt, and I like it because you do get some swivel out of her, and because that belt is there, it hides some of that sliced up kind of effect that you get when you use those waist swivels. They wasted a very good opportunity with this belt to have a ball peg down in here. I don't really know why they didn't do that. They could have very, very easily, but they didn't. Anyways, but it doesn't look too horrific. Legs will split out to there, so that's pretty decent, but it's the similar, same kind of setup as the Storm Arena or the Jadas, so there's no reason why she couldn't do a full split, but she can't. But anyways, front kick.
What is that?
That is all you get front kick wise out of her, and that kind of sucks. It's like the top of her thigh is catching right up here. And this is hard. This is not soft like soft diaper. This is hard plastic, and it just doesn't go anywhere. She's got some Stu Storm booty there.
Hello there.
So no kickback either. So that hips going out to the side is good. Front back sucks. She's got a thigh swivel. That thigh swivels. Pinless double jointed knee. Tons of range, and the proportions are pretty good. So I got no problem there. No shin swivel or ankle swivel. So if you're somebody that likes that, that likes a shin or ankle swivel, you're probably not going to like this. It doesn't bother me because I think usually they do them wrong, and the cut makes it look like shit when you engage it. Ankle is a hinge, so it'll go all the way down, most of all the way up, and it's got some super steep rocker that kind of gives you like horrible injury look, but it's there. Peg holes in the bottom of the feet, and no toe hinge. So articulation wise, she's actually not bad. I hate the neck joint, and the hips don't go forward or back, but she's Sue Storm, so it's not like she's going to be doing like a bunch of martial arts type kicks or anything, but there's no reason that they shouldn't work. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't, but they should. My final thoughts on her. The paint work sucks. The new sculpt isn't bad. The head sculpt, pretty good. Paint, that paint sucks. And her accessories really aren't very good either. Because the force field thing is pretty cheap looking. Overall, I'll give her a C, because that head sculpt is good, and the body sculpt, it does look pretty good, and the articulation is not bad, but the paint is awful. It's lacking, and where they did do paint, they fucked it up. So she's a flat C. Some people might give her higher, some people might give her lower. I'm giving her a C. But anyways, that's all I've got for Sue Storm here. If you haven't subscribed, pause the video, scroll down, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And with all that said, this has been Dad with Dad's Expensive Hobby, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.